So today I'm going to teach you how to apply a latex nose. It's just a small appliance, so you're going to incorporate this into a look. Could be a fantasy character or it could be an animal look. I'm going to try and do a human slash ogre, kind of like Fiona from Shrek, but not a full Shrek makeup, just to give you an idea of how to do the nose application. Okay, so I'm going to start. This is the latex nose. It's kind of a clown nose shape, but it works for Fiona's look. And it has kind of these nostril holes that haven't been cut out yet. So I'm just going to take some scissors and open them up. And overall, the edge should be fairly thin. This is a handmade prosthetic piece, so it's not perfect, or I should say homemade prosthetic piece. If you purchase it from a company, it'll have probably a better edge to it. But I'm going to work with it. So first off, what I'm going to do is place it on the nose to see where I want to put glue. Can you hold that for me? And I'm going to take some powder. So I just have colorless powder. I'm going to take a powder puff and put some powder on it. And this is going to help the powder is going to help to create an edge that I can see where the prosthetic piece will go. Okay, so then if I take this off, there's an outline where I need to glue. And then what I'm going to do is take Prosthetic. It's a medical grade adhesive. And what I want to do is apply that to the nose where the piece was placed on the face. So I don't want to go beyond it yet. I'm just going to take a sponge. So this is a small appliance, and if you have a larger one, you might want to start by just gluing the center of the nose and the center of the appliance and slowly putting it on. I think I can just very carefully go through and add the piece on without worrying about it because it's so small. So what I'm going to do is take it, and I also need to take on the inside, I need to put Prosthetic. And I have a brush for that. And with this glue, you need to make sure it's dry, so it's kind of a milky white color, and once the glue looks clear, you can apply the piece to the face. So Prosthetic is a contact glue, so you glue each side, the appliance and the face. And if I accidentally squeeze the appliance together, it'll glue itself together. So you want to make sure the edges don't curl under and get glued in. So I'm going to just hold it delicately and try to start by placing the prosthetic piece at the top and then move down. Actually, I'm going to try to center the nose. And while it's still a little tacky, you're able to remove it and put it back on if you don't get the placement right. And then if you put pressure onto the appliance, it helps to glue it down as well. So the piece is on, and now I need to just go through and make sure the edges are glued. So I'm going to take my brush, and you might want to use a smaller brush for this. This is the size I have right now, so I'm just going to go under the edge of the appliance where it's not glued yet and try to put a little glue underneath the piece and on the face at the same time. And then the rest of it, this part got glued on pretty well. But another thing you want to do is hide the edges, and you can put a layer of Prosthetic around the piece. So I glued that, but I didn't push it down yet, so I can do that next. And then I can take a sponge, and I'm just gonna stipple the glue on the edge. And another thing you could do is there's a Prosthetic cream, which is a thicker version of Prosthetic, that you can blend the edges better, because this one is pretty wrinkled, but I don't have that Prosthetic cream at the moment, so I'm just gonna stipple the edge, and I will do my best to color it to disguise the flashing on the edge of the prosthetic piece. I'm also adding a layer of Prosthetic to the surface to help paint it. We're going to use what's called PAX paint, which is a mix of Prosthetic and acrylic paint that you use to color foam latex. But sometimes the surface is too porous, so I'm just going to do a layer of Prosthetic and then I'm going to powder. So once that's dry, I'll powder it. So I have a little bit of PAX paint on a palette here, and this is more of a skin tone color, and I know Fiona is usually a bright green ogre, but I'm gonna do this makeup look a little more skin tone with hints of green. So if you're gonna do a makeup look that is a fantasy color that is like green or blue, you usually want to use PAX paint that is the color of the makeup you're going to use. So now what I'm going to do is just sponge this on, and what I want to do is color the prosthetic piece as much as possible to get rid of that white color. And sometimes you want to use undertones underneath the skin tone that might be a little redder to get rid of that white color. And I'm just going to layer this on and see how it goes, and then add makeup on top. And what I'm doing is overlapping a little bit onto the skin and making sure the prosthetic is totally covered. Okay, so after you've put the PAX paint on, it's going to be sticky because it's made up of Prosthetic, which is the glue. So now I have to powder that as well. Okay, so now that the nose is colored and applied, I'm going to use foundation to do the base for the face, and I'm also going to use it on top of the nose. So what I'm doing is using the foundation and just dabbing so that you get an even layer all the way around. When you do a latex nose, you have to add a lot of makeup, and so that means you have to add a lot of makeup to the face as well, so the makeup ends up being very opaque. So just kind of balance what you're doing and have a plan for how you're going to disguise either the nose or how you're going to incorporate the rest of the face with the very opaque kind of center. And what I'm going to do is use this foundation color and then fade green from the inside and use that in the shadows of the makeup. And then after you finish your foundation, you're going to powder that as well. Okay, so I mixed up a green that I want to use, and I'm just going to go around the outside and use it as like a shadow and to sculpt the face. Okay, so now I'm going to just add a little shadow. So here's my original green foundation, and then here's a little darker green that I'm going to do to sculpt the cheeks and the temples. And if you go too far, you can always go back and add a little bit of the foundation to blend it together so it looks smoother. Okay, so I finished the foundation and I powdered it one last time. And so now I can move on to any powder makeups like eyeshadows or powder blushes. So I want to add a little blush to the cheeks. I have kind of a coral color and a dusty pink color. So I always test on my hand first because I don't want it to be too strong. Next, I'll do some eyeshadows, and actually I'm going to use the eyeshadows to darken the foundation colors. I'll also use it as eyeshadow, but I'm going to use it there first. Okay, so that's the makeup look for this. The nose, again sideways, and a complete look. You got to make sure you do the lips, the eyebrows, eyeliner, eyeshadow, the neck as well.